Happy Wednesday, everybody. Thanks for joining me today in the Locher Room. I'm Alan Locher. My guest today is Michelle Danner. She is a director, a performer, a teacher, a storyteller, and an entrepreneur. This legendary acting teacher and co-founder of the Edgemar Center for the Arts and the Los Angeles Acting Conservatory has now established herself as a successful feature film director. Her 2019 film Bad Impulse is a psychological thriller about family secrets and modern technology, which won Best Narrative Feature at the 2019 International Independent Film Awards and the Best Director Award at the 2019 Culver City Film Festival. Her upcoming film, The Runner, was filmed prior to the pandemic and is an action thriller and true life coming of age stories starring Cameron Douglas and newcomer Edouard Philipponnat as a troubled teenager forced to go undercover to expose a drug kingpin. I'm so excited to welcome Michelle to the Locher Room. Please welcome Michelle Danner.
Hi.
Hey, Michelle.
Hi, how are you?
I tried my best with Edouard's name.
You did very good. Philipponnat. Yep, that's right.
That's great. Well, tell me, you were raised in a show business family. I know one of your parents worked for William Morris. What do you remember about growing up in a show business family?
Well, lots of dinners and, a lot of artists would come to the house and there was this ritual where they went into the kitchen and they picked up whatever they could find. It usually was a big paella and put all kinds of ingredients. This Brazilian singer, Eliana Pittman, would come and she would cook and other people would sing at the piano and it would tell stories. My dad was asked by the William Morris Agency to open their very first offices in Paris off the Champs-Élysées. So, I grew up.
What a horrible job. My God, that would be my dream.
I always remembered he worked really, really hard. But I do remember one time I was in 7th grade, my first day of school, and he was traveling. He was in Japan. And all of a sudden, I see a car pulling up in the driveway of our home. And he showed up for the one day to take me to school for my first day of school in 7th grade. And I never forgot that because even though, you have a parent that works really hard, you know how much you're loved.
Yeah, for sure. And did you all move to Paris when he opened that office, or was that at what part of your life was he in Paris?
Well, at that point, me and my sister were born in New York, and my mom was really I'm sorry. We were born in New York, and my mom was not excited to go to Paris because she's Italian. She's from Italy, Milano.
Another great, my God, all these great cities. I love both of those cities.
Yeah, she's the only Italian that does not like to eat pasta or Italian food. And she liked America, and she wanted to be in America. But my dad got this gig. He was asked to be the president. I mean, that was like a big thing. And so we moved to Paris when I was 4 years old, and I started to go to school. And the French kids were pretty brutal. They would tease me. They'd put frogs in my bag. They'd pull my hair. They'd call me La Petite Américaine, the little American girl. But then I turned it around. I would write plays for school. I adapted a whole novel, The Queen's Necklace, Alexandre Dumas, and I cast like 44 kids in school. So the teachers loved me and, hated me at the same time because I literally revolutionized the school. So I put on these big productions, and then I became, for the most, bullied little girl, the most popular girl in school.
Wow. So you started writing at such a young age?
Yes, I was very fascinated by literature. I was an avid reader. I would form a little reading room in my closet. I would go up the stairs in my closet and have like a little light and a pile of books, and I'd read like 3-4 books every day. I loved words, literature, writing. To this day, I'm so passionate about that.
Wow. So, your dad worked for William Morris. Were you destined to be an actress?
I don't know if I was destined. I was destined to be creative. I think that's for sure, because I was surrounded by creativity and, wonderful, incredible artists as I grew up. And I went to the Conservatory of Paris. I acted. I mounted this production in a theater in Paris, which was very successful. Antigone. So I
Wow.
continued to be very, very prolific in the theater, all the way up till I was 15, when my parents announced to us that we were moving back to the States. So we moved back to New York, where I was lucky enough to study with Stella Adler, with Uta Hagen, with some just extraordinary teachers.
Yeah,
And
legendary teachers.
yeah, Herbert Bergdorf. And, I was just very, very inspired. I did lots of theater in New York. And then my travels brought me to Los Angeles, where I have lived for the last, oh God, 2, 3 decades. A lot of time flies. You blink and it just goes.
Wow. And did you first start acting when you were in Paris? That's where it first began?
Yes, my passion
Wow.
for acting began in Paris and continued, and it's very strong all the way up till today. Whenever I have that, in fact, I'm pretty sure I'm going to do a feature film where I'm going to act in at the end of this year. We're still waiting with all the COVID stuff and the variant and all that, but yeah, no, I'm very excited about acting, and then of course I'm very excited about teaching and directing.
Oh,
It goes.
I'll get to all of that. What do you remember about being in New York and studying acting and performing? I mean, New York is such really the home of theater.
I think I recreated. It's a good question. No, nobody's asked me that question, but this image came up just now. I think if I think of our home in Paris, which was like a little castle, our parents had this little castle, um, with all these secret rooms. As a matter of fact, apparently the Germans used it during the war as one of their headquarters. It was very
Wow.
spooky and beautiful at the same time. So if I have the image of that house in Paris, filled with music and art and artists and creativity and books, then I have the image of my apartment in New York, filled with actors coming to do readings of plays, of screenplays, rehearsals. Um, I remember when I signed the lease of this apartment on Lexington Avenue, the landlord was very adamant, no parties, no this, no that, no pets, no roommates. And I think we broke every single rule.
Every rule. Lexington and what? Do you remember?
Oh yeah, 793 Lexington Avenue. We ended up having 2 apartments in that building, and I think we did it all. Um, we did it all, but lots of actors would come. We were constantly mounting plays. I was taking classes everywhere, and just a real passion for the work. I was in a soap opera, All My Children, um, a few days there, and I did some One Life to Live. I did some of the soaps, uh,
Hmm.
but short movies, indie movies.
What do you remember about the soaps?
I remember that they bumped me because, not bumped me, they upped me because I started off as a featured actor, and then I had built my backstory of my character. I just, was in a hotel in Paris, and then I ended up like getting more because I think that I was the one that had this character. I had formulated a whole backstory, so I was really living in front of the camera. I remember a great experience on set.
Creating those backstories and putting it in your mind, I think just helps any performer.
It was a long time ago, but yeah, I always, of course, part of my teachings is to inspire students to, really create an intricate, complex, riveting backstory profile that can help them to live, truthfully and improvisationally under whatever the given circumstances are.
Do you have a favorite role while you were in New York that you?
Well, I have a favorite role that I played here soon after when I moved to LA. It was a play that I did that ran for over a year at the Hudson Theater, The Rose Tattoo by Tennessee Williams. It
Hmm.
hadn't been done for 18 years in LA. It's actually very hard to get the rights. And we got them.
Wow.
And Rob Estes, this wonderful actor
Yeah,
that
yeah.
I
From
love,
Is he from
Shark
Melrose Place or
First
something?
Place. Yeah, he
Yeah.
was in it, and we had like a cast of 21 people and a goat, including 2 children. And we ran for almost a year. We won lots of awards. He won awards. I won awards, and we were directed by a wonderful director, a good friend of mine called Deborah Levine, who actually we're collaborating on a project together as we speak. And so that memory, that was a very, very special production. The set was unbelievable. It could have lived on Broadway. It was so beautiful. It
Yeah,
was,
that's not a name. I know some of Tennessee Williams' work. That's not a play that I recall hearing much about in New York City.
it's not done a lot. I did go, I can't remember, like 4 years ago or 5 years ago, somebody did it. It's a wonderful play. I've seen Mercedes Rule do it. It's just a beautiful play. It's one of the happy plays the Tennessee Williams wrote. Comedic, very funny.
While growing up, who were some of the actors you admired as a child?
Well, I love Gérard Depardieu, French actor who I had the
Yeah.
pleasure of meeting a couple of years ago in Paris. We had a 2-3 hour, very passionate conversations about art. Um, of course, Meryl Streep was always, just I was fascinated by Meryl Streep, but also with French actors because I grew up in Paris. So Isabelle
Right.
Adjani, an actress called Marie-France Pizier, um, Romy Schneider, a German actress. I Alain Delon, Jean-Paul Belmondo. So a lot of French actors were my inspiration.
The hair on my arm stands up every time you speak with your accent. It's beautiful.
Marcel Marceau, the mime. Yeah,
Yeah.
I had this. My dad always prided himself that he relocated his family to Europe where he could give us this education. He knew that we would have a very strong foundation with a European education.
Oh, I'm sure that was, I can't even put it into words. I mean, it's, having that kind of education is just something that is, incredible to have. I'm lack of words for that, but I think, that's, one of my biggest regrets is not living abroad when I was in college. I do think a European, education is something nobody can get here in the States.
I think it's important to travel and it's important to study other people's cultures. I just came back from spending a couple of weeks in Italy, and I hadn't been there for a while because of the pandemic, but it's just so beautiful. And
Where were you?
well, I was first in Ischia, the Ischia Global Film Festival, because they showed our movie, The Runner, there, which is a
Great. That's right. Laurie told me you had just gotten back from Italy.
yeah,
Yes, yes,
huge,
yes.
huge honor. So very prestigious. I was in a panel with Paul Haggis and with Fisher Stevens and Bobby Moreno. I mean, some really incredible people, and it was a beautiful screening. And the island of Ischia, I've always been mesmerized by a certain beach in a movie, um, the Anthony Minghella movie, The Talented Mr. Ripley. There was this beautiful beach that Jude Law was in, and I thought to myself, I want to go to that beach. Where is that beach on the face of this earth? Well, I found out when I was in Ischia that they shot it in Ischia.
I
So
love that.
the island is just beautiful. I want to go back. And from there, we flew to Sardinia, another island in the south of Italy. That is, every time I've asked people about Sardinia, they made this face, and I'd never understood the face. I'm like, what face is that? What are you? I mean, it's the face of, oh my God, it's so beautiful. You have to go. You have to put this on your list. So I finally went, and I'm a huge beach person and more like an ocean person. I love swimming in the ocean. And this is a place in the world when you can take a boat and you can go out in the open ocean and not be afraid you're going to be eaten by a shark and swim in beautiful water that's either turquoise or light blue or deep green or every
Uh,
shade you can imagine, depending on the beach you go to. It's really beautiful.
Sounds like magic. And it's so interesting because I agree. Like you see something on screen, movie, television show, and it gives you that desire to travel to those locations.
Well, I
When
think
did you?
that is an
Yeah.
important part of life. Of course, we've all been curtailed to a certain degree from traveling, but my son graduated high school last year, and we were all wanted to go to Japan, so we didn't go. That stays on our bucket list. But traveling is an important part of life.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. Um, how did teaching enter your world and your life?
I was in class, an acting class, and of course, having lots of actor friends and having studied a lot, I was knowledgeable about acting. And so little by little, people asked me to coach them on their auditions. And I was faced one day with either canceling seven actors had called me to coach them that day, or going on two auditions. One was in Pasadena, the other one was in Hollywood, which would have taken my whole entire day to do that. So I had to either cancel the coachings or go on the two auditions. And I really thought about it. I actually went to walk on the beach because that's where I make all of my important decisions. And I decided to cancel the auditions. Of course, I canceled some more auditions after that. So my agent kindly dropped me, which was fine because my career as an acting coach was taking off. And then and then consecutive days and weeks and months and years, I had, 8 coachings a day, sometimes 10 coachings a day. I've even, I think, gone to 12 coachings a day. I mean, just
Wow.
back to back to back to back. I do a little less now because I'm directing movies. But I've coached quite a lot. And, I just chose to do something that was more of to give a contribution. Not that acting is not, because of course when you're cast in something, it's all about giving as well. But it was the need was pressing in that moment, and
Hmm.
I'm very glad that I did that, because first of all, I have a trade, and there's a lot of acting coaches in this world, um, but I believe that what I bring to it is because I've studied with so many people, and my philosophy of acting is so eclectic. One of the things that made me run when I was a teenager and in my 20s studying in so many different classes was this idea of dogma, when teachers were adamant that there was just one way to do it. And that scared me and made me rebel. I believe in progressive education the same way that I've sent my kids to very progressive schools. I believe that we have to change with the times that we live in, and acting evolves, and the way of teaching acting evolves, the craft of acting. So this idea that all the actors should come to the middle and be the same. Nobody is the same. Everybody is so unique in the gift that they have to give as artists. And as a teacher, you want to nurture that and you want to expose them and teach them all different philosophies.
Now, I know you were an actress yourself. You studied with Stella Adler and Uta Hagen. Did you study to be a coach, or did you take all of those life lessons with all of your performances and studying under them and create your own method?
Yeah, I didn't set out to teach. I think that I was just, I had an intense, immense fascination for the craft of acting, for what the questions that made Stanislavski, study actors, what makes a great actor, a great acting moment, great acting. And so I wanted the answer to that. I wanted to understand it deeply.
Hmm.
The teaching just, fell in naturally. It was just a demand. People were asking me to start a class, and so it fell into the need. There was a need for it, and so I did it, and of course have never regretted it since. uh, it's just a great joy in my life. As a matter of fact, because I've been traveling, I haven't been coaching that much. I did teach some classes on Zoom while I was abroad, um, but I came back
Oh,
here and I had a face-to-face in person with a student who's very
is that the
gifted.
first time in a while?
Well, yeah, in like a month. And so, and just, as I'm sitting there and we're going back and forth, and, I'm playing tennis because I'm working on this wonderful scene written by Aaron Sorkin with this student, I'm just feeling like how much I love this. I really love it. I love to, pass down the knowledge, what I know, Um, and I don't believe that there's just one philosophy of acting. I believe that there's many different philosophies that you can pull from. and that you know, put in your toolbox, your golden box, and everybody has the key to their golden box. And so therefore this idea of teaching acting becomes very intuitive. It becomes, you know, every actor is unique, completely unique, and you have to work with that.
I knew about the Golden Box and was going to ask you about that. When did you open Michelle Danner School?
um, well, it was I started teaching in 1992, but officially in the year 2000, so 21 years ago.
21 years. Wow. Congratulations. That's amazing.
Time flies, you know. I still can't, you know, wrap my head around the fact that it all goes so quickly. All of
Yeah,
it. When you have
time
kids,
does.
when you have kids especially, it's, you know, sometimes painfully clear that we're just here for the blink of an eye, and then it goes.
We are. So I assume you have other instructors at the school?
Yes, I have been lucky that I have met and gathered, oh, really a faculty of teachers that is just as inspired as I am, and then to give back to our students. And so we yeah, we've reopened a few months now. We have in-person classes. We continue to have great Zoom classes. We have conservatory programs to the Los Angeles Acting Conservatory. And yeah, I mean, people, everybody in unison comments that the energy is a really great creative energy in our school. And I think it's due to you know, this philosophy, and then this wonderful group of people that we've been able to bring together, both teachers and students.
That's great. Do they all incorporate the Golden Box?
Yep, they all certainly do. As a matter of fact, I'm back. I haven't taught the Golden Box for over a year because of the lockdown, but I'm back teaching it. I think it's September 25, 26, all day, 2 days. I'm really excited to go back because I'm going to change it from the last time I taught it, because you know what's been great about this moment of reflection and pause is that I've watched so many things and I've rethought so many things, and I'm doing a lot of writing. So it's brand new, you know, it's fresh, and there's a lot of new things.
And I bet, I mean, during the pandemic, I mean, we all watched everything, and I'm sure you just take all of that in. But your list of students has included Christian Slater, Selma Hayek, Gerard Butler, Seth MacFarlane, Penelope Cruz, Chris Rock, Gabrielle Union, to name a small few. What's it like for you knowing you've been a part of helping, you know, them progress in their, you know, acting careers?
Very fulfilling because, you know, depending on who we're talking about, I have worked with them at different stages
Right.
in, you know, in their lives. Sometimes there've been some turning point, you know, movie projects that they needed help with. Not everybody comes to you for everything, but sometimes they hit something that feels more challenging. Um, and so, yeah, I've only had really, really good experiences. You know, I've been lucky. I can knock wood, and, you know,
Yeah.
I've just really, and some of my students, some people that have, you know, I've cast in movies that I've directed, such as, well, for instance, late Vern Troyer, who was in a movie that I directed years ago, about 9 years ago, called The Bandit Hound, a wonderful movie with kids and dogs, the thing they tell you not to do. And
Not to do, exactly.
there's a hilarious scene in it with Lou Ferrigno and with Vern Troyer. It's really funny. And Catherine Bell, another former, you know, a student of mine. I've coached her on many things. She also starred in that movie. In another movie that I did, Bad Impulse, Grant Bowler, an Australian actor that I love, New
Yeah, I
Zealand.
like Grant. I've seen him in many things.
It's fantastic. Also studied with me. Um, yeah, I mean, I've had, you know, the pleasure of working with some enormously talented actors.
Yeah, I mean that list is enormous. Is there, you know, I don't know if you can pull this out of your head, but is there a role that any of, you know, your students that just you were blown away by their performance? I mean, because each role is, not necessarily a powerful role per se, but I'm sure, like the list of folks that I read, they've all had some pretty incredible on camera parts.
Well, I'm watching Christian Slater right now in this show, Dirty Betty. He's really good. I haven't finished it yet. I mean,
Is it a new show, Dirty Betty?
yeah, it's Dirty John, and I think Dirty
Oh,
Betty.
yeah, 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 yeah.
True
I saw
story.
Dirty John. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, that was good. I mean, I love Eric Bana. Um, that I can tell you the story though. A student of mine, Edouard Philipponnat, who's in The Runner,
Mm-hmm.
um, studied with me for a while and was doing some really solid, strong, powerful work in class. And I knew I was developing this movie called The Runner, like I said, and I gave him the script, and he loved it. And he gives a really, really good performance. As a matter of fact, we've been doing the festival circuit. Like I said, we just went to Ischia, and it's been,
Is
a
that him
road.
on?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this poster has traveled. We're working on different posters, but anyway, it's
Oh, okay.
one idea that we had.
Yeah.
But and so he got a big agency to sign him, and he did 2 movies back to back. And last month he was on set in Europe in the Ridley Scott movie doing a scene opposite Lady Gaga. So it's a wonderful
Oh,
success story for
wow.
him, and it does make me feel good to know that
Yeah.
we worked really hard together on this movie, and we're very lucky to have shot it right before the lockdown. Because I can tell you that we were going to postpone it till April, and knowing now what happened, I know we would have not shot it, and I don't know who would ever
You would
shot
have
it.
shot it April 2021.
I don't know if we would have done it. It's one of those things that you pushed for that, and you did it, and you got into the elevator door as it closed, and you go, yeah, it was meant to be.
Hmm. Now you've directed both stage and screen, correct?
Yes.
So how did directing come about for you as well?
Again, I think that everything that I've done is like a natural stepping stone. The directing just came, it all comes out of my love for it. It's all my desire to grow, my desire to try new things, to challenge myself, to raise the bar. So right now, for instance, I've been rehearsing with wonderful actress Anne Archer, and
Mm-hmm.
we're doing a show called The Ticket to the Circus, which is based on a memoir written by Norris Church Mailer, the wife of Norman Mailer, mother to John Buffalo Mailer, friend of mine who wrote a screenplay, Hello Herman, that I directed with starring Norman Reedus years ago. And so he asked me if I would direct this. I was very honored. I asked Anne to do it. She said yes. We're in rehearsals, and we're getting ready to give birth to this wonderful theater piece, which I'm very excited about. Written by Bonnie Culver, great writer.
Now I know for acting, you said you studied with Stella and Uda. For directing, did you shadow someone? How did you perfect that craft?
I did. I took some directing classes, I think, at UCLA, but I read a lot of books. I think a great way for directors to learn is, of course, working with actors and getting performances out of them is not something I ever take for granted, but might not be the most difficult thing because I'm clear. I have clarity on that. I know what to do. Where more is, where he plays the camera. Of course, they say if you have a great DP, you don't have to worry about that. I don't know about that because I think that the director has to have that knowledge. So since then, I've done 5 feature films. So now it's a whole new day. I actually know about, lenses and and crossing the line and depth of field and all kinds of things and composition. Because now I studied it in depth and I directed 5 movies. And it does help to have a great DP, of course. There's no question about that. Um, I've watched a lot of directors' commentaries. I mentioned Italian
Mm,
Mr. Ripley. I watched his director's commentary. I love the Damon Chazelle's commentary on Whiplash. Um, I love
interesting. I've
him.
never thought of. I mean, with all of the whatever the extras on DVDs and things like that, where you can watch a director speak about their work. That's
Oh,
really an interesting way to grow your craft, whichever it is, if it's an actor, a director, a cinematographer.
that's it. Absolutely. It's a directing class. And then, of course, there's so many things online, interviews, YouTube. I mean, you can just study and read. Um, a lot
How
of
would you compare
directors
your,
did
sorry,
not, a
continue.
lot of great directors did not go to school. Listen, if my son is studying film and he's going to USC, he's studying, you know, oh God, I'm blank. He's studying several things. I mean, he's very passionate about film. Yeah, I mean, if I had to rewrite it and I could go to USC and study film, sure, I'd love to do that. But I think not everybody can go. Like I say to my actors, not everybody can go to Juilliard, not everybody can go to Yale. So you
Right.
create your own conservatory.
Really smart.
Yeah,
If you want to learn, there is a way to learn. What
that's
in
right.
whatever field that is, if you want to learn, there's a way to do it.
That's right.
How would you compare your directing style from that first feature film to now your fifth feature film? Like, what do you think you've learned along the way that's changed maybe the most?
Confidence. I just,
Um,
more confidence. Just, I mean, I saw with every single film, I did see a difference. And I think, it's no accident that this film is probably the one, it's won the most awards. It got into 25 film festivals. We were at CineQuest. We premiered there.
the runner's been at 25.
Yeah, World Fest Houston. We
Wow.
won for best movie there. They did virtually New Filmmakers New York, which is a great film festival yesterday. We going to do the Catalina Film Festival coming up. Um, so it's been an East Coast, to be part of that club was pretty pretty extraordinary. So yeah, I feel really good about this last one because I think I keep always a list of the mistakes that I make because I think it's okay to make mistakes. Of course, you're going to make them as long as you don't make the same ones over and over again. So I always try to make different mistakes.
What a great piece of it. Right, but what a great piece of advice for, we
I,
can all learn from our mistakes, but to write them down so you do not repeat the same one.
yeah, I remember the things that went wrong and try not to, try to do it better. But I mean, more confidence. I mean, the more you do it, it's like anything else.
Right.
The more you do something, the easier it gets. Although, it's like I remember my very first movie. I'm on my way onto set. I stop at this Montana cafe, which is not there anymore on Montana here at the time, to get some coffee and a muffin. And at the table, I see Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks having breakfast. So I know Steven Spielberg because he and his wife, Kate Capshaw, were so generous in giving us a donation to open up our theater in Santa Monica. So I go up to him and I say hello and I say, I'm going on set. It's my first day on my first feature film. And I said, I am so nervous. And he said, well, guess what? He goes, you will shoot your 20th feature film and you will still be nervous. That does not go away. So I think that you're always, you're going to be nervous, but the more prepared you are, the clearer you are. Um, it's easier. It's easier. The nerves can always be there. It's like acting. And I say that to my students as well. Welcome the nerves, let them be there. It adds the energy to it. But if you don't know what you're doing, and if you're general, and if you haven't done the work, then the nerves are going to take over. Then you're going to be screwed. But
The panic's going to take over.
yeah, but if you're clear and you've done the work, don't be afraid of
Right.
the nerves. They're a good thing.
Right. I mean, just the coincidence of bumping into him
I
on the
know.
first day is
Like,
just, doesn't really get better than that.
and I didn't think I was ever going to do another feature film, nor a third one, nor a fourth one. And now I'm prepping
Wow.
for a sixth feature film. So yeah, you never
Just keep
take
the
it for
doors
granted.
open.
You never take it for granted. You just hope to do the work and hope that it happens, and it's all you can do.
How do you feel, about female directors? I know that there's just been such conversation that there's not enough of them. Yeah, I know there's definitely much more, in 2021. But do you feel it's made a lot of progress since you directed your first one?
Oh, I think so. I think that there's many more opportunities for female directors. I feel it. I have gotten a couple of offers to direct movies, and one of them I'm so excited about. Such a great story. I mean, the other one I'm excited about it too, but I think that, and then those two projects, basically, they were saying we need a woman, a female director. Uh,
Mm.
so yeah, I think that there's more opportunities, the same way that there's more opportunities for diverse, casting, multicultural casting. Um, I think it's good, when something is not working and is brought to light. Um, the awareness of it usually, brings change, which is great.
Who are some of your favorite female directors?
Oh, I love Nancy Myers.
Mm.
I love Nancy Myers. I love her specificity, her love for the detail. Um, I
And
love,
she's funny, the stuff she does.
yeah, yeah. She's extraordinary. Um, I love, oh God, Jane Campion, the piano.
Hmm. Yeah.
Love her. I love Nicole. I never know how to say her last name. She directed Friends with Money and many other feature films. I love Tamara Jenkins. I think The Savages. Um, yeah, I mean, there's more, but I
Hmm.
love, yeah,
And your first feature was in 2006, right? How to Go Out on a Date in Queens. That's the first one you directed,
yep,
and you won 4 LA Film Awards, including Best Director. How
right.
did that feel on your first film?
Oh, it was nice. Every award that I've won it's always nice, but I don't give it too much. I don't give it too much of none. Even all the awards we just won on the runner. I mean, I'm happy, and if we win, we win. If we don't win, we don't win. If we get in, we get in. If we don't get in, we don't get in. The one I was really excited about was Ischia, because then it meant I was going to go to Ischia.
Of course.
I was like, yeah. But I'm really just, it's all good. It's all good. I'm not, listen, whatever we get nominated for, whatever we win, I'm not saying I'm like, I don't care. Of course I care. But it's the same thing, if you care about the good, then you care about the bad, and it's all the same. If somebody pans me and gives me a bad review, and somebody gives me a great review, it's it's all on the same thing. It's not like, I just want to do the work, and I'm just grateful to have the opportunity to tell stories, to have the opportunity to work with wonderful actors, to get the financing to do it, and the distribution. Because at the end of the day, the reason to direct film is because you get the biggest classroom in the world. You have all these people from all over the world that get to see your work and see the story that you've been wanting to tell. So that's what I think is
Very true.
is
Well,
important.
well, your first film, speaking of talented people, right? I mean, I think the first one was Jason Alexander, Esai Morales, Ron Perlman, Kimberly Williams, Rob Estes, and Allison Eastwood.
Yeah.
That's a pretty talented group of people to direct for your first film.
And a wonderful actress, Christine Dunford, and some other wonderful actors. And yeah, no, it was a fun movie, and it's a rom com set, three stories intersecting each other, set in Queens, written by Richard Vittieri, a writer that specifically lives in Queens and writes about Queens, and
Oh, that's
I
fun.
just wanted to capture that. And it was, for me, it was like the equivalent of really going to film school. I don't think I knew a lot at that
Did
time.
you film in Queens?
Some of it, yeah, yeah.
That's awesome.
Some of it in LA. Uh, so yeah,
How would you describe your directing style?
probably very much actor friendly. I think
Hmm.
Paul Sorvino, who I directed a couple of times in two movies, wrote me a wonderful email saying how I make actors feel safe on set and how I allow them to take risks. Um, so that's what I try to do. I try to create a safe environment so that actors can do their best work.
Today, what brings you more joy? Is it directing or teaching?
Um, my kids is the thing that brings me most.
Yeah,
But
good
because
answer.
without them, directing or teaching would not be so meaningful. However, um, I like both. I mean, I can't say it depends. I like both. I love teaching, and I love being on set, and I love all parts of it. I love the pre-production, the putting it together, the pieces of the puzzle. I love the making
It is
of
a
it.
puzzle, right? It is a
Oh, it's
puzzle.
definitely a puzzle. And I love the making of it, and and that immediacy of the moment, because you're looking at that scene, and and I really have to kind of concentrate and say to myself, I'm going to leave this location. I'm going to leave this. Is there anything else that I can grab here? Is there anything else that I can do here before I say, that's it. Let's move on. Um, and then I love putting it together. I mean, they always say, there's three different movies: the beginning, when you shoot it, and at the end, the post production. And it's true. Then, the choices with the music and the sound design and the color correction, and of course, the editing, which takes, time. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. And,
Are
because
you there through the whole process?
I am,
Like
yeah.
editing, you sit in and
Watch
watch.
every single take.
Wow.
I mean, listen, I don't know if, I keep doing big things, and I don't, maybe I won't watch every, but I have so far, even on set, even where inserts, where normally, the director walks away and likes the first AD and the second D in command in the camera department shoot an insert, right? Well, I have found that I actually want to be there for my inserts. I want to make sure I get them exactly the way I want them. So, yeah,
Well,
I
that makes sense. It's it is your name as the director.
well, I have walked away from inserts, and I've not been happy. So therefore, I've learned my lesson. I'm like, wow, why is that like that? It's no, no, no. So I actually stay for that.
So you've mentioned your kids. I know one is at film school and one just graduated high school. Do you
No,
have two?
one is in seventh grade,
Oh,
uh,
wow. Okay.
and the other one's at the dramatic school at USC studying film as well. Yes, and he's in his second year of college. I think this year it's going to be hybrid, a mix. And
Mm.
yeah, so they are therefore very, very present in all my travels, because before the pandemic, I had a lot of teaching engagements all over the world: Russia, South Africa, South America. So I always take them because there's always an adventure to be had afterwards. For instance, I went to Lima to teach the Golden Box, and then I took them to Cusco and to Machu Picchu. I mean, that was just, I don't know if I'll go again, because it also
I mean,
felt
they don't get a better education than that, in my opinion.
they have gotten. We were at Sundance Film Festival a few years ago, and we went snowmobiling, and there was a map of the world on the wall, and we stood in front of that map for a good half hour, and we were here, remember, we went there, oh wow, that, do you remember that? And so I've taken them. There's places I haven't taken them to, like I said, Japan we haven't gone to, Thailand we're going to wait a little bit until the dust settles everywhere. I wanted to take them to Brazil, India, like I said, all places where it's not
It's
the right time
incredible.
to go right
It's
now.
incredible.
Yeah.
How did your teaching engagements come up around the world?
I didn't pursue that. I was just asked in different places. I've gone several times to Istanbul to teach some great classes. Well, this actress that I adore, Fadika Tasoy, who's very well known, I call her the Meryl Streep of Turkey. She's just so gifted. She has, through the government, has invited me several times to teach through the International Film Festival in Istanbul and through another organization. And Istanbul is just so beautiful. I actually shot there as well. Um, and so through, I think, students, and I get invitations all the time, and still do, but I've kind of put a pause on it, because I'm trying to, the first trip that we took internationally was this one in Ischia, so we're waiting a little bit till things calm down.
Right. Yeah. Is there a difference that you notice in the actors you've met around the world, in, I don't know, their, just how they interpret acting?
Yes, of
compared to
course.
us in America?
Absolutely. And it has to do with culture. I mean, for instance, I taught several times in Dubai, which also was beautiful. I had some great classes. It was like the United Nations. There were people representing each country. Um,
Wow.
yeah, I
Wow.
mean, there's depending on where you're teaching, the people, there's a certain, people are repressed in a certain way and not felt like they're allowed to have their emotional life, which of course is crucial when you're an actor. Not allowed to have their dreams because acting has that connotation that it's not a
Hmm.
safe bet for your life. So absolutely different parts of the world. I've taught in France for several times, which again was a highlight of my life because I teach 5 languages fluently. I speak 5 languages fluently. So I speak French and I speak Italian and I speak Spanish and Portuguese and English. So I'm able to teach. I almost went to Brazil to teach, but I'm sure I will in the next, decade. Um,
Wow.
but
Did you learn that early?
growing up,
Although,
yeah, growing up, I was a very, we were very multilingual in my house. So I learned languages and passed this down to my kids. And as a matter of fact, being in Italy now, I was speaking Italian really well. Everybody commented how good my Italian was. And so my kids didn't understand anything. And now they're taking Italian lessons because I think it's a beautiful.
they should. It is one of my absolute favorite
Yeah,
languages. I studied it very briefly. I do not speak, but
yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I
Yes.
wish. I mean, my parents were Dutch, and I sadly fought as a kid to not learn it. And I wish I had. Um,
They,
bravo to you for
yeah,
5 languages.
they
That
speak
is
Spanish and they speak French. And I know for
wow.
me, Spanish has been a great language to have.
I bet.
Great language to have.
I mean, yeah, here in the States. So the 2019 film I mentioned at the beginning, Bad Impulse. Tell us what that was about, because it won um, Best Narrative Feature at the International Film Awards, and again, Best Director.
Yes. Can you just hang on one second? I have somebody at the door.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to. Sefarina, rápido, hay algo a la puerta. Estoy haciendo una entrevista. Um, we're talking about Bad Impulse.
Bad Impulse, yeah.
Yeah, Bad Impulse is a movie that Jason Chase Terrell, a friend of mine, wrote.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked me to direct it. And I love that idea of psychological thriller. It has some horror and supernatural. And we also had some really good feedback on the festival circuit, and we won some awards. And it was distributed by Gravitas in December. It just came out in December, and we had some great reviews. And people really seemed to like it. I mean, if you like scary movies, and I was told how scary it is.
I do.
At the Chinese, and then people were commenting like somebody, like it starts with a really violent scene, and then it's super scary. Like nobody saw me like directing something.
Right.
Like
It doesn't sound like your type of film, but yeah. Did you have fun directing something like that?
I did. Well, we had some obstacles. We were interrupted by the LA fires, but we solved that because then we went to shoot at Jane Seymour's house, which was beautiful. So it was eventful. It's never easy to make an indie movie and have big vision for it. So you have to inspire people. But I had a great cast, and Grant Bowler was in it, and Sonya Walger, who's an astounding actress, and
Paul Sorvino, right?
Vintage Paul Sorvino. He's so good. And
such a great actor.
James Landry Herbert, who's an actor that was in Stranger Things and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He plays the one that has to change the tire. That actor, he's really good. He's done a lot. Yeah, I'm just lucky to have some really great actors to work with and tell stories.
Makes it easier for you to tell the story with great actors, right?
Absolutely. It makes the world of difference.
Well, let's talk about The Runner. It's a action thriller, right? So tell us about that. And stars Cameron Douglas and Edouard, who you mentioned.
Yeah. It started with me watching a news report late at night about how police, gets kids, ropes them into wearing wires for the greater good of capturing the drug lord of whatever town. And but
Wow.
then the shit happens. And I was just
I
really,
would assume bad shit happens.
well, yeah, it's this recurring theme that always speaks to me about how our kids fall through the cracks somehow. And just really, maybe because I have kids, I'm just always moved by that. How can we help these kids? But this is told, in an entertaining way through its irrelevant story. Could be a true story, um, because like this happens, but it's told through an action thriller, and follows the life in one day of this kid who is forced to help police to capture, the kingpin of the town. Um, and it stars this young actor that I talked about, a student of mine, and then Cameron Douglas, who, if people know Cameron Douglas, they know he wrote this book,
Hmm.
autobiography, and but now he played, so he understands, what this is about. But he played the detective, and I couldn't have had a better experience working with him. He brought his heart to the project. He was just so professional, um, so authentic, and and so played in so many different multi layers. There was a complexity to what he did, and so I was just really lucky that he said yes. It also came about me watching an interview late at night where I think it was on Nightline, and the interviewer said, "How do you know you can act, or you can act?" And he said, "Oh, I know." And just the way he said it, it resonated in such a deep way that I said, I'm going to have my executive producers reach out to him and make him an offer and see if we can get him to do it.
I
And
love
then,
that. Have you ever done that? Have you ever found an actor sort of in a similar way?
oh yeah, all the time. I mean, I reach out to actors all the time, and some of them I know, some of them I don't know. You
Hmm.
hope that they respond to the material. And if they don't, it's always sad when somebody that you really want says no.
Mm.
But there's so many stories about that, aren't they? About
Hmm.
actors that have turned down great parts, and
Totally.
wow,
Yes.
so that person was offered that at one point in their life. I mean, just today, unfortunately, we had this wonderful actor that turned down a part in my upcoming movie. And that made me
Mm.
sad because I saw it, with every moment when you're waiting to see when they're reading it, if they're going to respond to it, you hope that it's going to, they're going to say,
Connect with the part,
they're
right?
going to
Yeah.
connect. Exactly. Connect is a great word. And, sometimes they don't connect, they don't see it.
Oh,
Um,
I'm sorry that didn't work out because I'm
yeah.
sure that's.
So,
I'm sure when you see it for them, and then they don't see it or don't connect, it's got to be, disheartening,
right, yeah,
disappointing.
but I mean, they know what's best for them. But it's fine. It's like they're not meant to play it. Somebody else is meant to play it. We'll have to see who. Um, but and then back to the runner, Eric Balfour said yes, and Elizabeth Rome, wonderful actress. She was in Law
Yeah, I
and
like her.
Order, and she's
Yeah.
really great. She said yes. And so, and Naji Jeter, a really up and coming young actor, also. So I was, again, I had this ensemble of, just extraordinary artists. And one of the things that, the movie, the feedback is this acting, that the acting is so strong. Of course, you could all say, "Da, of course she's going to, direct." I don't do it, but I don't take.
Right. Well, if anybody knows you, they would expect that for sure.
Would expect it for sure, but I do not take it for granted. And I have made mistakes. I'm not going to say which one, but I made one very big mistake when it came to acting.
Casting.
Uh, no, it was basically not being strong with the actor. He wanted
Mm.
to make another movie, and I was making another movie in terms of tone. And he didn't come to the table read. And then it was hard to unglue him from his choice. He had an
Oh
idea, he
wow.
had
Yeah.
choice, he wanted to do what he wanted to do. And it was early on, in my directing,
Hmm.
and I wasn't strong enough, confident enough to derail him. Uh, so, or put him in the path that I
Yeah, I
wanted him to
understand.
be on.
Right. You, he was going that way and you were going that way.
I've learned, and also because I've worked with big names on set, you can't, it's different. I mean, when you hear the dailies and me and the runner, I'm talking to my young actor, to my young actors, like I'm talking through the take in terms of what I want. And so when you're working with a big name, you have to do it differently. You still get what you want, but you have to do it in a different way. You have to know how to talk to actors.
Right. Well, that's where your experience definitely comes in. Is there a role, a project that you have been dying to make or direct?
Yes. And there's something that I'm working on. It's just that there's never enough hours in the day. But it's a historical figure. Nobody has made this movie. Nobody has made it. And I'm dying to make it. And I've done a lot of research and I'm writing a treatment on it. Um, so I think it's not going to happen tomorrow because I think 3 movies before I make that movie. But, and also it's going to be a big budget movie. But yeah, there is something it's a period piece that I'm.
Well, you're going from 5 to 8 movies in record time. You've directed 5, right, so
Mhm.
far?
Yeah, 5
So
plus some
and
shorts. Yeah, and documentary.
and
Yeah.
and three upcoming ones.
Correct. Yeah. And then I'm going to produce my son's movies. As a matter of fact, we're going to do
Ah,
a short together next week.
that's amazing.
Of course, I'm going to do, he has big ideas. He's going to direct some big studio movies. We'll see. He's got,
Does he watch you in action?
oh, yeah. My kids have traveled with me all over the world. They've been in the backstage of theaters. They know every line to every play that I've ever done. And also movies because I edit here, in the house. And so my youngest one is so funny. He comes back with a line from different movies to make points. I mean, he's got a great, wicked sense of humor, so he's super hilarious. But yeah, I mean, they're on set. I've put them on set. I've cast them just to have them in front of my eyes and to see what they're doing. But absolutely, yeah. And they have great experience. I don't know if my 12-year-old is going to go into showbiz. We'll see.
That was literally, you read my mind. That was my next question. Do you think he's going to follow?
It's possible. He's actually a really good writer. He might produce. I don't know. He's interesting. He could be a
He's got
politician.
time.
He's got time. It's very clear. My 18-year-old has always known that he was going to be a filmmaker. He is consumed by it in a way that I don't think I ever was. As
Hmm.
passionate as I have always been, I see him being even more passionate. He hungrily devours, 4 movies a day, studies genres, and he goes on themes. We were on this theme of watching all the Disney movies. So when we were abroad, we watched, Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty and Aladdin and Bambi and all those. And now he's on the Jurassic Park thing. And he was with a friend yesterday watching all the Lord of the Rings again. So he gets on
Great
these,
movies.
different genres.
Well, it's so interesting too because he's grown up in a different generation than you and I, where he's had really a camera in his hand for years. They're able to film anything with their cell phones, so they really can start practicing or start there.
Well,
If that's something they love.
with up and coming filmmakers, I always say it's your unique vision. That's really what it is. That's what you have to nurture is your unique vision. And I understood it, throughout the years when you asked me what did I learn from each project, more
Hmm.
vision, more of a vision, really be specific, really be clear. And I see that he has it. I'm very, I trust his vision. And that's such a key thing to be able to have.
That's great, and to have any parent support is so important for somebody starting out. So the runner, what's the next steps for the runner?
Next
And
step is we're going to decide. We have several offers on the table about distribution, so we'll decide this month, and it'll probably September, October, November, probably maybe come out in December before the end of the year.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, keep me posted. I'll put it up on YouTube with this episode so that people will know where to find it.
Great. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank
You
you.
are, I mean, your career is so varied. You're so smart, and I can't wait to see The Runner. I'm gonna
Thank you.
I'm gonna look for the horror film first, though.
Yes. Look for Bad Impulse. Tell me what you
Bad
think.
Impulse. Do you know where is it available online?
Amazon for
Amazon.
sure.
Oh, great. Oh, great.
Tons of
Yeah.
other places because Gravitas distributed it, so they have a
Oh,
huge
great.
arm of
I'll
distribution.
look.
Yeah.
Should I do it during the day? Is it that scary, or do I?
I don't know. I'm watching with my son Channel Zero. Did you see that?
No, I
That's
feel
like
like I heard of
really
that just
scary.
recently.
It's like really scary. So I don't know if it's as scary, but I have been told. I don't know. You have to. For me, of course, it's not. It's
Right.
inspired. The writer was inspired by the Shining. He was inspired.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But
Well, for sure. And is there anything you're watching right now, or that you've watched recently that for
I
acting
watch
or
so many things. I just constantly. I actually have a little article on the New York Post today about what I'm watching.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah,
I'll go read that and put it up as well on the YouTube link so that
great.
people can read
It's a
that.
little thing, and they said I sent him one more, but they didn't put that in. But I said *Handmaid's Tale* for sure because
Oh God, so good.
yeah, *Schitt's Creek* for sure. It's just a classic.
I still, my husband and I go to bed watching it again every night because
We
it
watch it
really
every night. Yeah,
it is just will put you to sleep with such a smile on your face. I think
exactly.
for another 50 years. Like, it's not something that I think will ever not be funny.
Exactly. I loved The Bureau, particularly because it's French. I love that actor, Matthew Krasovsky. He's very good. Kazovitz, I think. It's like Homeland, but even more real. And finally, I just love the French show Call My Agent.
We just started that. So
Yeah,
we're on season 2, I think, right now.
yeah, it's just really good. It's funny and it's good. And I just finished watching episodes with Matt LeBlanc.
I loved it.
It's just so great. It
The,
makes me
that cast, right? For
laugh.
anybody who's watching, if you have not seen Matt LeBlanc in episodes, it is
He's
so funny.
just great. He is
Yeah,
great. And they all
great.
are. The whole thing, the writing, the other actors. I just loved it. I was laughing out loud with my son.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you just make me think of Carol and the woman who makes her faces. The woman
I
who.
mean, she's brilliant. And the actor
Yeah.
that plays Castor, talk about physical comedy, when the one that is crazy, that is the head of the network.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was actually looking him up. I was thinking of, reaching out to him for this new movie. I think he's just brilliant. Yeah.
And the woman I was just mentioning who makes the faces, I don't know the character's name. She did a great show on HBO too. I'm going to try and see if I can figure this out while we're.
But without the faces, though, right?
Without the faces, but yeah, she was phenomenal. Daisy Haggard.
Yeah.
Is her Daisy Haggard. She's so talented, and she did an HBO series. Oh, I don't know what it might have been Back to Life on HBO. It was really good. If you haven't seen it,
I haven't seen it yet.
It was really, and I think she may have. She created it. She did. Check it out. Back to Life on It was HBO.
Oh, I will.
Michelle, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you again.
Best of luck. And yeah, I'm going to put up the New York Post. And when you find out more info on The Runner, we'll get that information out to everybody.
Perfect. Thank you.
Have a great evening.
Take care. You too. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, you can do so down below. Turn on notification to be reminded of all upcoming shows. And I will see you tomorrow, everybody, when A. Martinez joins me right here in the locker room.